So that was a brutal, brutal effort from the 49ers offense. Kyle Shanahan doesn't have his fastball right now. They lose 20-17 to the Seattle Seahawks on a day that Nick Bosa just couldn't continue with the hip pointer. And when Bosa went down, that was after his second sack, it was very clear that the 49ers offense would need to put up more than 17 points. That defense, they were gritty today. They did what they could, but they just ran out of gas. They couldn't contain Geno Smith. He had 34 rushing yards on that final drive, including the touchdown run. So the defense didn't have enough resources to close this game. They gave them one gritty stop, the fourth down stop with about 3 minutes to go, but the offense was just going to have to do more than 17. And everything that the 49ers offense did today was hard. It was a strain everywhere. And, you can't really knock Brock Purdy. He was playing his ass off. You can't knock Juwan Jennings. He was carrying the whole entire Seahawks defense on his back. Christian McCaffrey picking up gritty yardage. But these guys just didn't have space to operate. And at some point, there has to be something easy in a game, especially if George Kittle's not out there. I get it that the separation is going to be tougher for the 49ers to come by if Kittle's not out on that field. But Shanahan has to dig back into what made this offense so dynamic from really 2017 onward. Even when the 49ers were a bad team, he would be scheming guys open and there'd be chunk plays. And Seattle's not a great defense, guys. Seattle, this is the number 15 defense in the NFL. I get it, they had some guys back. They were sitting on a lot of the short routes today. There were a lot of the, those curl routes, a lot of the in-breaking routes. They were sitting on them. That's where the interception happened early, the breakup on the throw to Christian McCaffrey, and then it was a big guy interception. Hankins was able to get it for the Seahawks on that play. So they were sitting on all the short stuff. My easy prescription for fixing that if I'm the 49ers would have been a couple pump fakes and a couple throws further downfield, but Shanahan wasn't going downfield. 3rd and 1 situations, he was trying to run laterally in this game. It cost the 49ers 2 3rd and 1 conversions. They made up for some of that when Juwan Jennings was carrying a defense on his back, like the entire defense. I think 5-6 guys, it looked like, were trying to tackle him, but it was just too tough. Kyle Shanahan has to be better to help out what this 49ers offense is trying to accomplish. There have to be wider windows. You can't make Juwan Jennings drag 6 guys to a first down. There has to be something there from both play caller and players to make this more than a 17-point effort. Because it was a tale of 2 games on defense. First, with Nick Bosa, the 49ers were beating those Seattle tackles over and over and over again, and they were fine. Took a while until Seattle scored their first touchdown. I don't think that happened until the second half. But without Nick Bosa, you need that complementary pull. And this has been such a slog of a season for the 49ers, right? They dropped down to 5-5. They can't escape the tractor beam of 5-5. It keeps on sucking them back, kind of like the Warriors this past season. Not this current one. They look a lot better. But the last season, they just couldn't get away from 500. That was the joke. And now we see the 49ers, they're stuck at 500 because they can't consistently fire on all cylinders. Last week, it was a close call in Tampa Bay, not because of the offense or the defense, but mainly because of the special teams. Today, I put most of the blame on the 49ers offense, and then the special teams also didn't do what it needed to. There was that last drive for Seattle. They didn't put a punt returner back by design. Their punt returner was hurt. So that was Laviska Shenault, who had the kick return against the 49ers in that October game in Seattle. So with no punt returner, you have to pin them back. You can't kick it into the end zone. I get it. Pat O'Donnell's a backup punter. They just signed him. He's kicked in the NFL before. That ball, kick it conservatively. Don't boot it through the end zone. It just can't happen in that situation. It gave Seattle at least 10 more yards than they should have had, and those extra 10 yards gave the Seattle Seahawks a head start on their drive. So 49ers at 5-5. I compare this game to the game against the game that the 49ers played at Seattle. This is a staggering stat, and this illustrates where the blame in this game lies. The 49ers in October were at 7.9 yards per play, and the Seahawks were at 4.9 yards per play. Today, in this game, the Seahawks stayed at 4.9 yards per play, and the 49ers dropped from 7.9 down to 4.9. Both teams were at 4.9 yards per play. So whereas the 49ers offense completely rocked Seattle, back in October at nearly 8 yards per play. They were significantly worse today. Defense actually stayed about the same in this game. I know that they gave up that winning touchdown at the end, but that, you look at the offensive performance and you have to say that 17 isn't enough. Whenever you only put up 17 in the NFL, you're looking for, and especially in the modern day and age, you're looking for heroic performance from your defense. And the 49ers, without Nick Bosa, were unable to do that. They got the 1 4th down stop, but that was going to be it for the 49ers. Now, performers of the day for San Francisco, you can't say enough about Jauan Jennings. He and Purdy working with this offense from Kyle Shanahan that just wasn't giving them any space. He and Purdy almost willed the 49ers to this win. But again, it caught up to them on that last drive when they tried to ice the clock, and there was nothing, there was no room. The run, what they're doing passing-wise to set up the run is not enough. What they're doing with the run game, I mean, early on, they were just trying to hammer the run game into the line of scrimmage. That wasn't enough to set up the pass. Within the offense itself, you need some complementary balance. And I think that's why I say that Kyle Shanahan doesn't have his fastball right now. He's like a pitcher out on the mound. There's something wrong. He's unable to throw. Normally throws 98, and right now he's throwing only 91, and he's getting lit up on some of these play calls. They've got a really good quarterback, and they've got some good weapons. Christian McCaffrey was running his ass off today too, and Jauan Jennings, obviously can't mention him enough times. They got some good weapons that allow them to overcome some of those problems, but only some of them. And they only scored 17 points, and that's not going to be good enough. In the larger picture, their margin for error is essentially gone. Non-existent at this point. That's their 5th loss of the season. They weren't going to retake first place in the NFC West today no matter what happened because Arizona's on their bye at 6-4. So the best they could have done is tied the Cardinals. Now they're a game behind the Cardinals, and they don't have a good NFC West record. Losing these divisional games is extremely punishing. They were, 1-2 in the division before now? This is the second go-round against the NFC West teams, so now they're 1-3. You're a game in the loss column behind Arizona. Even if everything goes right in the back half of the season, and you beat Arizona in that Week 18 game, and you have the same record as them, you're going to lose the tiebreaker because you have a worse division record in all likelihood than the Arizona Cardinals, right? So there's still a lot to be played, and I hate to project so far out into the future, but in general, losing division games is brutal because you don't have the tiebreaker anymore. And the 49ers right now definitely don't have that NFC West tiebreaker. They're also entering maybe the toughest 2-game stretch of the season, heading to Green Bay and then to Buffalo, both road games. We had said, okay, well, if they beat Seattle, maybe they just need one of those 2 next games on the road. Now it looks like they might need both of those next 2 games, and they're definitely not going to be favored in both of them. Given the way that Buffalo's playing, last I checked, they're ahead of Kansas City. I don't know what that score is right now, but the Buffalo game on December 1st, not going to be easy. The next game against the Green Bay Packers also isn't going to be easy. So the 49ers have their backs up against the wall now with absolutely no margin for error. Their defense is playing tough football. How's Kansas City doing? They're losing to the Bills. So the Bills are up 30-21. Looks like Kansas City's finally going to suffer a loss, or 31-20. No, 30-21, yeah. 30-21, Bills leading Kansas City. And that's going to be a really, really hard game. 49ers needed to set themselves up to make this a little bit easier, but this is a season of torture for them. Everything was going to go the very hard way for San Francisco this year, and it's gotten even harder for them. So, 5-5. 6-5 if they win next week, 5-6 if they drop next week. There isn't much precedent for a 5-6 team going anywhere, especially if you have Super Bowl aspirations. 6-5, you can talk about it because it's 6-5. The '88 49ers actually turned around 6-5 and won the Super Bowl that year. But they've got to go win on the road now after they couldn't get it done at home against the Seattle team that had not been nearly as efficient as them this season. Shanahan has to rediscover his fastball. I think it's as simple as that. More needs to be schemed open. You know, when you look at Brock Purdy running for first downs, running for touchdowns, Christian McCaffrey just as good as he had been before in the catch and run, Jauan Jennings playing out of his mind. I don't care if you don't have George Kittle. There needs to be more there for the offense, for the taking, to score more than 17 points. And that has to come down to we call the quarterback play caller cohesion. Not a lot of that blame is on the quarterback. When you look at the dynamics here, more of it has to go on the play caller. And I look at the separation for the 49ers. I look at the run game for the 49ers. There's just too much tough sledding for them to fully enter that complementary football mode that they've struggled to enter all season long. All right, headed to the locker room. We'll see how Nick Bosa is doing. That obviously was the big injury for the 49ers today. Aggravated the hip pointer. That really did cost the 49ers down the stretch. So we'll have the locker room report for you in just a bit. Everybody, take care here from the Levi's Equipment Room.